Hello, and welcome to the Relationship Revolution, my friends. If we haven't met before, my name is Dr. Jenny Wallig, and I am the co founder of Powerful Love Relationships and co creator of the 3 step Powerful Love method that's going to help you transform your relationship, make everything better, even if your partner isn't involved in the work with you. Um, I want to talk today about fighting and actually why fighting in your relationship might actually be exactly what your relationship needs. So, I know a lot of people are uncomfortable with fighting. And if you're in a couple dynamic, like most people, it's the most common couple dynamic, there's one of you who doesn't mind fighting and wants to resolve things and fix things right away, and the other that would prefer to avoid fighting. And what can happen in that dynamic is those of us like myself, I'm a fighter, yes. Surprise, surprise. We can like be the one who does the labor of bringing things up and pointing things out and risking a fight, and then our partners maybe respond defensively or hold things in and don't bring things up to us, or start feeling like we're constantly nagging, and it's a whole thing. And so a lot of the time fighting in this dynamic doesn't go very well, and the person who brings something up that turns into a fight gets frustrated because they don't feel seen, heard, or cared about or responded to. The person who's not bringing something up feels like they're constantly not good enough, or they feel afraid and like they're walking on eggshells with their partner, or um, they're carrying resentment because they're not bringing things up because they don't want to get into a fight. And, when I say fight, I don't mean like screaming at each other, swearing at each other, bringing shit up from the past, all of the things, right? Piling it on. I, I, I don't mean being disrespectful and unkind. There is actually a way that we can fight with one another that is um that might still feel like fighting, but that is still like conscious and loving and anchored. And the reason that so let me back up for a second. I'm not doing this with notes today. Um The reason that this came up for me is I was having a conversation with someone recently who was sharing about how he was like afraid to challenge his wife on things, um, because he was afraid she'd get upset, and he doesn't like it when she's upset with him. Totally fair. Totally fair. And sometimes better to not get your spouse or your partner upset. There's a better and worse times for these kinds of conversations. And yet, I know this couple well enough to know that in not bringing some of these things up, this man is actually doing his wife a disservice. When you're not taking the risk of rocking the boat, if you're not challenging your partner on the pieces of who they be or how they're behaving or what's happening in the relationship that are not in their or their relationship's best interest, you are you're allowing them to stay at a level of beingness that is less than who they could be and what they could be, right? You are not inviting them into their own growth journey. Part of our job as partners is to be a loving mirror, is to be courageous enough to reflect how um how our partners and spouses are showing up, how they're affecting other people, how they're affecting us, the vision that we all hold of how good they can be and what we desire for them, like all of the pieces that you desire for your partner to improve on. This is because you have the vision, the knowing that they can be better in that way. This is why, as you know, as a fighter myself, I bring things up because I know Cal can be better, because I know I deserve the best, because I know and trust that he wants to be the best, and sometimes he doesn't like it, but I do it anyway. And again, I'm not trying to say that like we fighters are better than you avoiders. I'm just saying that there there is a lot of value, there is a lot of importance, there is a divine and spiritual necessity, if we're going to fulfill the highest potential of our relationships, to challenge each other, to bring shit up. In fact, I will tell you that I have been frustrated as someone who values personal growth. I have been frustrated with how few times in my life people have dared to challenge me. People have dared to call me on my shit. This is one of the reasons why I love my coach and mentor so much, is because she's a no bullshit person, and she will reflect to me what I'm not seeing, and she won't let me get away with just staying in my smallness, staying in my fear, staying in my patterns and programming that are not serving me. And she sees it. And I tell you that we see this stuff in our partners. Like, there is probably no better expert on your partner's stuff than you are, because you see it. Maybe you see it differently than they see it, but you still see it. And they might need to hear your perspective of it. And they can't if you don't bring it up. That said, right? There's a way to bring it up. There's a way to stand your ground, to assert your boundaries, to express your anger or your hurt, that is anchored in love. That is that can come from a place of power and strength, as opposed to um like opposition, or even timidity, or any of the like the violent, or, and I don't mean like physically violent, though that doesn't work either, like, but like the unloving, self-protective, right? That's really what it is. It's self-protective, either by being too small or being too big in the way we bring shit up. um there's a middle ground, and when you're in that middle ground, you're a lot less likely to do harm in your relationship. In fact, that is where you're like fighting with one another can and will do more good for your relationship. And that's what we're after, right? We want these conversations to be a benefit to the relationship and not cause more pain, not make things harder and worse. The trick is, the catch is that most people don't know how to do that. In simple terms, we call it assertive messaging. And we teach a 5-part assertive message formula to be able to bring together what we need to say, and say it effectively. And the beautiful thing about this 5-part assertive message formula is that when you get good at like putting it together in the formula, you don't need the formula after a while, right? It just kind of comes out naturally. But the formula is a really great way of organizing what you want to say in a way that your partner is going to be able to receive it a lot better. So if you would like a copy of that 5-part assertive formula, please write assertive in the comments, and I will make sure to get that to you. What was I gonna say? So the assertive messaging doesn't always have to become a fight. And yet I talk about fighting. I'm talking about fighting in this conversation because I really do want to like take away some of the narrative around like how fighting is bad, because sometimes even when I'm going to like, say things in an assertive messaging kind of a way, it's like on my insides, I'm like, oh, I need to fight with you about it. I want to fight with you about it. And that's okay. What it that fight energy is an energy, right? It's a desire to defend and protect yourself. It's a desire to break through barriers and create actual change. It's a desire to stand up for yourself and and like make known the reality of how you feel and what you desire and what you're asking for from your partner. And that's all good. That's all really good stuff. We just need to be able to channel our energy in a way that does not like cause harm in our relationship. Now, your partner being defensive, that's their shit. That doesn't mean that you've done harm. In fact, expect that your partner will respond defensively. Expect that they'll be upset that you're, picking a fight with them, so to speak. That's kind of fast brain human behavior. A lot of us get there. Assertive messaging can really help to disarm defensiveness if you compose it and are able to say it in a really powerful way, or if you know it's going to be a tough conversation. We have a 4-part um, process for setting up for difficult dialogues. That's a masterclass that you can purchase. Type difficult dialogues if you want that. Which is a really great way of helping to have hard conversations without it turning into defensiveness or fight. But anyway, um, it really like it's okay if defensiveness shows up. What matters is how you then respond to the defensiveness. Think about how you can stay in the awareness that your partner, even though you might be in fighting energy, right? That your partner is your teammate, is your home, is essential to your well being in life, is someone you love, right? You don't want to do harm to them. You might need to fight to get through. I feel like sometimes it's like that's what, Cal and I need to fight to like break through some shit faster. And it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, we needed to get that out. We needed to discharge that energy. We needed to break through where we were stuck and click into something different with one another. And that's okay. But we do it, and not perfectly all the time. Let me be real, we're not perfect. But we do it with a higher level of consciousness, with an awareness that, like when I want to swear at him, and sometimes I do, when he wants to say horrible things to me, and sometimes he does, because that's what goes on in our mind, we don't say those parts. We might raise our voice. We might get really frustrated. I might burst into tears. He might walk away and slam the door. And we still are maintaining a level of self-control so that we're not just unleashing on one another. And that is the trick, my friends. That is the key to maintain a level of consciousness and self-control even in the midst of fighting. The other essential piece is this, and I don't want you to miss this because this really is like critical to being able to fight and allowing it to help your relationship grow as opposed to causing harm in your relationship. And that's repair. Too often I hear about couples who fight and then don't repair. In fact, we were just working with a couple a while ago who often would like they would one partner would bring something up, it would turn into a fight, and then they would like she would walk away and he would walk away, and it never got resolved, but it also never got repaired. And what was happening is it was building up this consistent like resentment and fear of even trying to talk to one another. And so there was a higher level of avoidance, and there was a higher level of reactivity, and there was a higher, well, I'll say a lower level of trust and safety in the relationship the more that this happened and happened. John Gottman, who's one of the like topmost experts on marital success, big researcher, everything is researched. He's found that no matter what style of conflict a couple has, whether both avoid, whether one avoids and one likes to fight, or whether they're both fighters, does not matter. What actually matters is their ability to repair, and their and especially this 5-to-1 ratio during their conflicts. So the 5-to-1 ratio, magic 5-to-1 ratio from Gottman, is five positive interactions. They can be small, like being distracted by how cute the dog is, or um, you know, brushing a hair out of your partner's face, or grabbing a eyelash that's falling out and having them make a wish, or um, like just putting a hand on them, taking a breath, all kinds of things. But five positive interactions for every one negative or harmful information, like defensiveness or contempt or name calling or um, whatever, right? So the 5-to-1 ratio, and then repair on the other side. And the repair is so key. Repair is where you get the opportunity to own where you were a little messy, to acknowledge your partner's experience that you may have not been in the right mind frame to hear about or care about while you were fighting, to remind your partner that you still love one another, and like that this it is okay that you had this fight. It doesn't mean that you're going to keep fighting. It doesn't mean that love is lost. It doesn't mean anything bad. It just means that you're two human beings who had some feelings and you got in a fight. Okay? It's also, repair is also where you learn, right? Where you can reflect on what went well in this fight, what didn't, what was my partner's perspective that I need to pay attention to in order to continue to like grow myself and improve our relationship. Um, what are the things that we could have done better prior to the fight, during the fight, right? This is where the self-reflection happens, and when you can do that together and anchor back, like create that resolution of coming back into safety with one another, it teaches your nervous system that the fight is not so dangerous. The fighting that you're having is not so bad, is not this big threat to your relationship, is not indicative of your relationship being in a bad place. What happens for me and Cal now when we do fight is that I have this little voice in my head that's like, this is annoying. When is this going to be over? When can we get to the repair part? Because I know that we will. Like, when can we get to the part where he remembers that he actually loves me and starts acting different? Um, and I'm sure he has that. That's a similar thought about me. Uh, because I know I can trust that we will get there. And so it's like, so the fighting like is annoying when it happens, but I also recognize that there's a reason for it. There's value to it. Um, and there's parts of me that want to be fighting because I would rather be fighting than ignoring the things that need to get talked about, ignoring the things that like need to and can be improved. I wish that Cal would fight with me more. Um, because I want him, right, to keep pushing me to become my better self, to be an even more reflective mirror for me to see how I can grow. But that's just me. Um, yeah, I hope you're following. I feel like I'm a little bit all over the place, and yet I'm okay with it. Um, because I know that what comes through me, whatever pieces you get, whatever pieces you don't get, are what's meant for you to receive. So just know that fighting does not have to be this like terrible thing in your relationship. It doesn't have to always hurt. Sometimes it might. It's always going to be uncomfortable. You're not probably going to feel like really good about getting in a fight. But it doesn't have to be this bad thing. and it doesn't have to result in harm. And even if it results in some disconnection and disharmony, you can repair that. And the more that you repair that, the quicker that you repair that, the better you learn how to repair that, the stronger your relationship actually becomes. Because then you know that, like, these fights are not going to tear you two apart. You know, in fact, nothing is going to tear you two apart. And that is, in my opinion, a like better level of safety and security than being in a relationship where we never fight. Because at some point, you might actually fight, and then your nervous system is going to be like, oh shit, this is our first fight. We've never had one before. What does that mean? Oh my God, are we falling apart? Right? Like, anytime it's a new experience, our nervous system is a lot more afraid of it, and we don't have the skills and the tools to handle it. So, if you could get good at fighting, get good at reducing the fighting, get good at repairing after fighting. All of that is part of the picture of growing and expanding, of revolutionizing your relationship. And I love that. I love that. I love the idea that we can have relationships where fighting is not so scary, and it doesn't mean that our relationship is bad, even if you're having the same fight more than once. Just means there's like some extra work there, some extra layers to peel back. Maybe you need some support. Um, but that it doesn't have to be inherently bad. In fact, it can be absolutely good. Remember, you have, like, part of your job, part of what it means to love, my friend, part of what it means to love is being that mirror and calling your partner on their shit, letting them know, like, how you're experiencing them, doing it in a way that is still loving and anchored and accountable for your experience, that isn't, shaming or pointing fingers or criticizing. All of that is a skill, but it's a skill that you can learn. And it is game changing in your relationship when you do. And it is love. That is love. Not doing that, not standing up to your partner, not insisting that they grow, not showing them or sharing with them where their rough edges are, where their shadows are showing up, where they might not be thinking or acting in service to themselves or their goals. That is codependent behavior. That is conspiring to keep each other in status quo. And we're not meant to stay in status quo. We are meant to grow, and we're meant to grow each other in these love relationships. To me, that's the whole point. I mean, and the fun of enjoying love and connection. But the like, aside from just the enjoyment of it, and part of the enjoyment of it is the growth. Anyway, I'll stop rambling. I do want to say before we wrap up that I have 3 new offers on the table to work with me privately. So they go away on Sunday, which is 2 days away. If you're watching this the day that I am posting it, Sunday, the 20th of April, 2025. If we're way past that and you're watching this, sorry, friends, but check out my Facebook page or our website for any new offers, or get on our email list to get updated on the latest offers that are on the table. But let me tell you about these 3 offers real quick. 3 different investment levels. For $555, you can get a 2-hour breakthrough intensive with me plus 1 month of private messaging access. So that's $555. It's a value of like 2,800 or something like that. So it's a really great deal. They're all really great deals. The the next level is $3,333. I like angel numbers, so that's where you're gonna see. That is, we get to work together for 3 months. We'll do 2 private sessions per month, plus unlimited messaging access to me, so you can reach out to me anytime you need to for additional support and mentorship. And you also get access for those 3 months to our core curriculum, all of our master classes. Speaking of master classes, since we're in the conversation of fighting, we also, in addition to the navigating difficult dialogues, we have a really great training on fighting fair. So, right, fighting fair if you want just that masterclass. Our masterclasses are $222 each if you buy them independently. Okay, so that's 3,333. That's like an $8,000 value or something. And then the highest level is 8,888. This is for 6 months of private work with me and Calvin. So special bonus, you get both of us. And we're gonna do 12 sessions. So that's 2 sessions a month, plus a breakthrough 2 hour breakthrough intensive, plus the 6 months of messaging, plus all of the courses and curriculum. So that is the best value. That's like a almost $17,000 value for 8,888. And really, really beautiful opportunities to transform your relationship, to finally move past the struggles that you've been stuck in, the fights that you've been having too many times and don't want to keep having. You know, if you're the kind of person who has tried everything that you can think of to try and still can't make it to the other side, still can't get things to improve in your relationship, your partner's still doing the thing or not doing the thing, or you're just still feeling stuck, this is where you need mentorship and support. And our mentorship and support is different. You know, I come from a therapy background, and I specifically designed our programs so that they are not therapy, because I don't think a lot of the model of therapy, I mean, some of my therapy background has been incredibly helpful in doing this work, but a lot of it, a lot of the therapy model, especially when working with couples, doesn't work very well. In our work, we use our three pillar powerful love method to create like powerful transformation quickly. We are mirrors to you. We're not going to just give you information. We're not going to just listen to you talk about your problems. Like, we are here to help you find solutions, to help you move the needle finally forward. Okay? We are going to call you on your stuff. If your partner is involved in the program, we're going to call them on their stuff. But again, they don't need to be part of the program for things to change, because you two are a system. So if you think of it like a dance, if you take the lead in the dance and do new dance steps, your partner's dance steps are going to change. As long as they're dancing with you, as long as they're willing to dance with you, you might step on each other's toes a little bit, but it only takes one leader. And that's what we're about, is helping you step into your leadership in this relationship, your power in this relationship, to learn the skills and tools and frameworks and strategies to approach your partner and your problems more effectively, to fight better, right? Even if your partner's not engaged. And if they are engaged, we're going to teach them that shit too. And that's extra fun because it moves a lot faster, but it's not necessary. So know that if you have been feeling stuck, if you have been feeling stuck in your relationship and things are not changing, not improving, despite everything that you have tried, it is time to get support. And we are the best at supporting you in your, like, unlocking your power and leadership to create those changes effectively. Because you don't need to be waiting around for someone else to change for you to reach the level of happiness and joy and ease and partnership that you deserve. Okay, that's it for me today. I love you very much. Oh, if you're interested in one of those three offers, just type 555-3333 and 8888. So I know which one you want. I'll send you the link to buy. I can actually drop those in the notes on this conversation. And I hope to see you next week for another live stream relationship revolution conversation.